Let us go to our first guest of the day. Very excited to talk to this man. He had a nice run in the NFL, Arizona Cardinals, and Indianapolis Colts. But of course, you know him from WWE. He was there for over 12 years, had an incredible run from a king to a baron to a happy to a sad to a lone wolf, and many, many other different personalities, personas, gimmicks in between. But he is now a free man. He is independent Tom, and he's been doing some big things. He was just in New York in January for GCW, and he's got some big plans coming up. He's also a great jiu-jitsu practitioner and a former boxer as well. Let us talk now to Tom Peastock, who is kind enough to join us about all the things going on in his life. Hello, Tom. How are you?
I'm good, man. How about yourself?
I'm doing well. It's great to talk to you. I hate your hat. I hate the Chiefs. I hate that you're wearing a Chiefs.
Who hates the Chiefs?
Oh, well, we're Bills fans here, and we're very salty. We're very, very salty. I know you're a big Chiefs guy. You hang out with Travis and Taylor and company, and you kind of jumped on the bandwagon and all this stuff.
Oh, okay.
I did see an interview where you were like, we're about with Chris Van Vliet, and you're like, we're gonna win 3 in a row. We're going to go 3-peat. Commiserations. That didn't really work out for you guys.
I thought we had it. But listen, as far as the Bills go, I think Josh Allen, unbelievable quarterback. I wish he was in a different era because obviously he can't get past Mahomes. And I genuinely feel bad for him because he's such an incredible player.
That's nice.
I'm glad he got paid. He's super humble, I think appreciates it all, and he does great things. So, I mean, I hope you guys have success when we're done winning Super Bowls.
Okay, well, I appreciate that. That is very kind of you. I see the shiner on the right eye there. Is that from jiu-jitsu?
It is. Marcio Cruz is my head professor, and I train at his gym, and his son, Hanan, decided to elbow me in the eye. I think out of anger because I hit the nastiest double leg on him that I've hit in a while. And he's a guy who, I mean, obviously it's in his blood to be an elite level jiu-jitsu guy, and his guard is impossible to pass. But I didn't think I'd be able to take him down, and I smacked him in the forehead and hit a really good blast double, and in the scramble to get up, I caught an elbow in the eye. And it's funny because I was like, man, did you just goose me? And he's like, what? Like looking at me like I'm crazy. I was like, no, did you just goose me? He's like, I don't know what that means, And I go, is my eye swollen? And it was like hanging down swollen.
Oh, wow.
It was pretty nasty.
You just competed, right?
It was a good one.
Yeah, look at this.
I did.
Look at you.
Yeah, I just won double gold at the Pans.
Wow. How long have you been training for?
So it's funny, man. When I was playing football, I started training out in Philly in like 2009, and then got my blue belt in Arizona training out of Lions Den. One of the old linemen for the Cardinals owned Lions Den out there. Got my blue there, and then when I stopped playing football and moved to WWE, I stopped doing jiu-jitsu just because I was trying to make a new career, starting from the bottom, trying to do something special with WWE. And I got back into the gym a little over 2 years ago, I think.
Okay.
And got my purple and just been moving up, doing competitions through IBJJF and some Jiu-Jitsu World League. And it's been a lot of fun. I got Masters at the end of the year because winning Pans, put me pretty high up in the rankings for my class. And so I want to be a world champ, and if you want that title, you got to do it at Masters.
When you're in WWE, are you allowed to compete in those tournaments, or do they not allow that?
I did 2 of them when I was still with WWE, and because I won gold both times, I don't think anything was ever said to me about it. But had I gone and gotten beat up or, wasn't looking good, if I'm taking, 8th place out of 8, they're going to be like, hey, we probably shouldn't do this. But I think when I was with WWE and doing it and winning the gold, it adds legitimacy to what we do. It's like when Lesnar fought in the UFC, it adds legitimacy to our athletes and our superstars and all of that. The same with Ronda and, Bobby Lashley, like all our elite level fighters. And, people who watch wrestling want to say things are, scripted or whatever it is, but we have a lot of really tough dudes that can do some damage.
In addition to that, way back in the day, 2-time Golden Glove champion?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I love
you still
boxing.
box?
I do. I mean, I go and hit the bag and I do the gym. It's great for cardio. When you're on television every week, it's not ideal to have, bruises or little burns from the gloves on your face or, a busted nose. So I stopped competing in boxing when I got with WWE, and NFL wasn't real high on it either, just because of the risk of getting hurt, your hands, your nose, your eyes, whatever. So I haven't fought in a long time, but no, I still train, still get in. I've been trying to do a little bit of Muay Thai lately too, just to work on the elbows and knees and flexibility with kicking and all of that. And I'm like one of those weird dudes. I'm like, I want to go to Thailand for a week and just train like in a real Thai gym where they just make you run 2 hours before your training, then run after training. And I think it'd be a cool experience.
And so you signed with WWE in 2012, developmental deal post NFL. Did you consider, given this background, at any point going into MMA as opposed to pro wrestling?
I did. Originally, that was like when I was done with football, I think that was the thought process for me. It was like, do I want to go? I've always been a wrestling fan. Do I want to go to wrestle for WWE or do I want to try to fight in the UFC? Because originally, too, when I was boxing, John Brown was my trainer, trained Tommy Morrison. He owned Ringside and he owned Combat Sports. And I got to go to a lot of UFC fights coming out of high school or college and while I was in the NFL because Combat Sports sponsored like the first Ultimate Fighter and the second season of Ultimate Fighter. So I would go to a lot of UFC events with my trainer, and I was like, maybe I could just try to do the Ultimate Fighter show when they did the heavyweights, when there was like Rashad Evans and Forrest Griffin and all those guys. And I was like, I could do that. And then when the opportunity came for WWE, they were like, hey man, it's a longer career at the time. I mean, you're looking at 2012, better money for WWE, and it was just kind of the safer route for future for me, I guess. But I've always been a massive like fight guy. I like fighting. I like fighting people. I like watching it. And for me, WWE kind of was best of both worlds in that sense of I can bring my physical ability. I can dominate other people and be a little more vicious than most. And then I have the legitimacy to back it up.
So like I said, after a run with the Cardinals and Colts in the NFL, then you go to WWE, get the developmental deal in 2012. You have an amazing run over there. Some of the notable items on your resume: 2016 Andre the Giant Battle Royal winner, NXT Tag Champ with Braun Breaker, 2017 Money in the Bank winner, 2019 King of the Ring winner, all those different, personalities, gimmicks, personas, an amazing run. And then very beginning of this year, you part ways. What has life been like? It's only been 3 or so months. What has life been like? What has this reality been like for you post WWE?
I mean, I think it's a little scary sometimes because you don't know. Now nothing is. I mean, in WWE world, nothing's ever set in stone anyway. I can say that for a fact. But that steady paycheck, the consistency of traveling and working out and having like a goal in front of you. I need to be in shape for this. I need to work hard so that I'm, moving in the right direction to continue to put myself on top in WWE. So leaving that, you kind of lose a little bit of that, and the motivation can be a little bit harder some days when I'm like, I don't have anything for a month. Like, do I want to coast and eat junk food for a few days? Do I want to go get my workout in? Do I want to get my steps or my training? So jiu-jitsu has kind of filled that void of like giving me constant goals. Obviously, we have a really tough list of black belts at our gym. So when you go there, especially on like tournament nights or sparring nights, where you're going in there and you better be in shape and ready to go. So that was hard. But then it's also, I guess, the uncertainty of what's next. I have goals. I want to continue to wrestle. Obviously, I love wrestling. I want to go to Japan and wrestle. I'm excited for other shows that I'm doing with new talent that I've never been around. MLW is going to be amazing. What they're doing is amazing, and I get to be a part of that. And I'm going to do several shows with them. It's not a one-stop shop. Like, I'm going there to really, see what I can do in this scene. So that's crazy. And then other goals I have. I want to get in a movie or get on a TV show. Like, all of that now is kind of an option, and it's just a matter of making it happen.
And I want to get to your immediate next steps in a moment, but just kind of building up to it here. I believe your first show post WWE was GCW here in New York, Hammerstein, Josh Barnett, Bloodsport. That first night when you're in there and that, you're going from massive arenas. Now, Hammerstein is a legendary venue, ECW, all that, but it's not, a 60,000 seat stadium. It's not WrestleMania. I wonder if there's any sort of like, I don't know, humble pie moment there where you're like, damn.
Oh, for sure.
Because you never had to work through the indies, right? Like you went straight from the NFL to WWE. So how did you deal with that? How was the ego?
I mean, I don't have an ego at this point. I've been doing all of these things a long time. I lost 3 national titles in college for football. I got cut from the NFL after 3 years. Like, I've eaten plenty of humble pie. I've been in the ring with, better fighters than me and have taken a loss. Like, my ego died a long time ago. I have pride in what I do and what I present and what I bring to the table and a value to my worth. But like, it doesn't offend me to go, oh yeah, like I've wrestled in front of 101,000 people and now we're doing 2,000 people. Like it's still the art that I love. And so that doesn't bother me. And you talk about that, like that Hammerstein Ballroom on the corner, I went to get a bottle of water and like those are little things you're like, oh man, like I'm doing an independent show. Like I forgot to bring water. Whereas WWE, you have catering, you have, first class travel. You have all of these things that are just kind of taken care of for you. You pull up to the building, there's security, and you drive in through there, and you park your car, and it's usually valet. Like now, I'm like, I don't even know what door to go in, like to this arena. But I was getting a bottle of water, and I'm just staring at MSG, going, I main evented MSG right there across the street, and now I'm in this back road here at Hammerstein. But again, Hammerstein is an iconic arena. The rock bands that have played through there, and the GCW crowds are amazing. Like I think for me, I was more nervous. Like, how's this crowd going to react to me? Because they have hated me for a very long time when I was with WWE. I was a career bad guy. How are they going to react? And they were super stoked that I was there. And I think it earned a lot of their respects that like, oh, he's not just a WWE guy. He can come here, he can perform, he can hang. And then, facing Josh Barnett in his Bloodsport, which is his thing, was super awesome. I mean, he's a legend in his own way with the UFC and winning. I think he won Masters no-gi without even training jiu-jitsu. Like, he's an incredible talent. And he, showed me some cool stuff that I used in like a tournament that I won, I think in January or February. I won Jiu-Jitsu Worlds, and I used one of the things he showed me when we were training and working on the match. So it was awesome. But yeah, it doesn't hurt my ego to do that. Now there's some things that I'm like, when they're, if someone reached out, hey, we're gonna do a show, it's on a baseball field outside of a high school. I'm like, well, I apologize, but that one's not for me. I think now I get to be more selective too. I've set myself up with the ability to be selective. Whereas if I was a guy trying to break into WWE, you kind of want to take every show you can get for opportunities to grow your name and grow your fan base to get in the door. But I was in the door for 12, 13 years. Now I can go, I want to do this because I want to work with these people, or like, I don't want to do it. It's a good place to be, but it still can be, nerve-wracking not knowing, what's next completely all the time.
We had Daria Baronato in studio a few weeks ago, formerly known as Sonia Deville, and she told us that she was somewhat blindsided by I don't want to use the word release, because when the contract is up, they're not releasing you. It's just you're going separate ways. A new deal is not offered. You're not re-signed. And she figured that it was, done deal, fait accompli, that something would happen. And then all of a sudden she got the phone call telling her the opposite. What was the experience like for you? Did you think that it was a formality? Was your mind only thinking, re-signing and you'll be there for another few more years?
It's funny because like, I don't know. I kind of had like that gut feeling that the way they were not using me at the moment, that's how it was going to go. Because I'm, again, I've been there 13 years. I'm not the cheapest guy on the roster. So like, do they have another guy that for a third of the cost they can have to fill that void for me? But maybe that's it. Or, I don't know. I was a little blindsided, but I also kind of expected it. Like, it was just, I was in a weird place. And I think that it was hard, and it was hard on a lot of people. Like, I mean, the list of guys that called me, Randy Orton was dead set that I would be a lifer in WWE. And when that happened, he was like completely shocked because, I've been a guy that never made waves. I always did what was asked of me. I made everything that was given to me really, really good. I never complained about having to, give someone else their flowers or put someone else over. I enjoyed the job of being a bad guy, which is rare. Most people want to be loved and liked or not hear from social media that they're the worst person ever. I never minded that. I was a very model citizen employee, social media, you can send me anywhere. Like I was excited too with the TKO partnership to maybe do some UFC stuff. I did a Arizona Cardinals football game with Sugar Sean, and it was like, this is cool. And like the social media rep from UFC was like, oh, we got to do some stuff. We're in Tampa soon. And I was excited for that, like the partnership, the Netflix. So I think that maybe I just got lost in the mix there with, Hunter dealing with Netflix deal and being a part of that. And I didn't expect it to end like that or right now. But again, it was like there's that weird thing in the back of your mind going, hey, man, just prepare yourself. This could be it, because we hadn't really had any conversations about my contract. It was up January 1st. And so it's a new regime. And I think, the door's never closed, I'm sure. But, we'll just see where life takes me now. And I think it's exciting to have the ability to do anything now and not have that thing where you have to ask permission for anything and everything, for interviews, whatnot. And then I get to be home for a little bit with my kids and my wife. I got 2 daughters. They're absolute animals. And I want to get them doing some jiu-jitsu. Now that I'm home, I can do that a little bit. And, we'll see where all of it leads.
I've heard you say that you believe there's one person behind this decision, and you spoke about it with Randy Orton, and he seemed to agree with you. I've not heard you say who that person is, and so I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't ask who was that person.
I mean, I just, like I said, when I brought that up, I just, that's not something I want to put out there. Just the name, but like I do, and there's several other people that have kind of confirmed that person is part of the issue. They have a good amount of power, and I just don't, for some reason, they're not a fan of me or what I do, and they were part of the, thing to push me to go down to NXT and do some matches, which I think was kind of like, I will put him down there for a little bit. He'll complain or he'll do something and it won't work, and then that gives us a reason. And then when I went down there and just killed it and caught on fire and became a babyface for the first time in my career, and the audiences were behind me and they loved the Wolf Dog stuff, they couldn't deny that it wasn't working. So then, when I got back up to the main roster, that person had power again. And it just, I think that, I got shelved. And then anybody, it doesn't matter who it is, if you have one person that's kind of that guy that's always like, not for him, let's not use him for that, let's, he's not working, then other people are like, oh, well, I'm not going to pitch ideas for that person because this guy's going to shoot it down, stuff like that. So it's, like I said, I'm not throwing names out there. I'm just,
fair enough. Did you ever try to clear the air with that person to try to get on good terms with them?
Yeah, but I also don't know why or where it went south. I just don't, I never gave a reason for sure. I actually, enjoyed this person and thought they were, a lot of people have ulterior motives in this world, and, they will be fake to your face, and you have to be able to separate them. And sometimes I will give people the benefit of the doubt. And I think I gave it to them a few too many times. And I should have watched myself maybe better around them or whatnot. But I think that the reason they had an issue with me was not me. It was another situation that I think may have caused that, but who knows?
Okay. Well, by the way, when you mention regime, I think of the Endeavor era and then the Vince era. I don't know if you were referring to that necessarily because this is a new era with Netflix, but were there palpable differences once Endeavor took over and Vince was out of the picture?
Yeah, I mean, I think everything that was changing was pretty awesome because everything seemed like it was getting bigger and more global. And yeah, I love Triple H. I love what he does. I love his mind for the business and keeping guys tough and strong and wanting more badasses, if you will, in WWE, and not so many comedic characters or, things that were more down my alleyway. He's a rock and roll guy, and, he's a great family guy, and like we got along very well. And from day one, I've had success because of Triple H when he, opened NXT and helped me create my persona in NXT and playing a part of it. And I think when he took over, it gave WWE a facelift that I think it needed. It needed to feel fresh for a while. It had become a bit repetitive in certain things, and I think they opened the doors for guys like Punk to come back, who may never have came back prior to that. He brought Nia Jax back, which has been a great addition for the women's division. So I think having him come in and Endeavor with a new way of filming things, and they're making it more global with sponsorships. Now you're seeing sponsors in the ring. Like Vince would have never put, a sponsorship on the canvas in the ring. And it's difference of opinions. You love it, you hate it, whatever it is, but they're opening the doors for WWE superstars to find success, not just in the ring, but through sponsorships, commercials, TV, whatever it is. They're creating more opportunities for superstars. So I think it's a great thing that they came in and opened us up to new markets, and the cross promotion between the UFC and WWE is amazing. And I think that guys from the UFC, maybe when their fight time is done, they're going to have an opportunity in WWE. And then you're giving guys who are, like I said, I wish I was able to go to like some UFC stuff as a WWE like representative, because, I could get on the mat and roll around with some of these guys. I've done it before back in like 2009, 10, somewhere in there. I was rolling around with Randy and Vitor Belfort before one of their fights. I think it would have been a cool crossover. So they've brought in some new great things, and not everything's perfect. They're going to adjust to some things, and I think some good talent has been let go because TKO and Endeavor are more of a business mode versus like Vince had relationships with all of his talent, and that was a little different because now you're dealing with people in an office that don't necessarily have a relationship with talent. And maybe guys will get lost in the shuffle because of that, but who knows?
I saw earlier this month you appeared on Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling, which I'm a fan of as a Canadian. I think Scott D'Amore is tremendous as well. Here you are,
yes,
showing up as Bishop Dyer. You're now Bishop Dyer. You're the Nomad, right? And
yeah.
So there's a connection to Baron Corbin and the Lone Wolf and all that, but you're just leveling up. What's the experience like with Maple Leaf? They're relatively new. I think this was just their second weekend of shows, but it seems like they've got something great going on. And love also that they have Mauro Ranallo on the call, an absolute legend. So what was the experience
he's
like?
The best.
Yeah,
he is I love hearing his voice for major fights, and then I got to hear him calling my match again, which he did in WWE before he left. I had him as an announcer, and he was a guy who understood my background and could put that background over when I was competing in the ring. But that Maple Leaf Pro was awesome. Like the way they were treating talent, and they've got their own like streaming service for the shows, and the quality of talent in that building. Like that's one thing I think I really look at when I'm coming to do some of these shows, is like I have to protect myself. Like some of these guys are just learning, or they haven't been around very long, or they want to do like crazy stuff. And I'm like, well, I mean, that's not my game. So I got to go home to a family. So I can't, have someone dumping me on the back of my neck, or I've got to know who I'm working with. And his roster of talent are all high quality competitors that I would feel safe in the ring with. And it was just a lot of fun to get back out there, and the crowd enjoyed it. They were an old school crowd, which you get in Canada a lot. They love the history of wrestling from all different entities, and they're really fun. They're a part of the show, and I had a great time getting in the ring and competing there.
And so coming up next, I understand you did just reference Major League Wrestling, MLW.
Yeah.
I understand you've got some information to share.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so excited to be a part of MLW. They are doing some amazing things, and they just want to grow and be a massive entity in this world. And that's the most exciting thing about wrestling right now. It's so hot all over in all levels. And so when you're getting MLW, bringing the talent, they've got major stars with Riddle being their champion right now. And I'm going out there, and they are going to do some amazing things. And they, like our venue that we're supposed to do next month, they already had to upgrade the venue because it sold out. So they're
Wow.
moving to a bigger venue. And so that speaks volumes on what they're doing in terms of putting on a show and bringing stars in. And they got Paul Hauser, he's a major actor, won Golden Globes, all that stuff. And they're bringing him on to help write the shows and produce. And he's also on the shows as a superstar, which is amazing that a guy with that ability to be a major success in Hollywood is now stepping in the ring, and he loves wrestling, and that makes for the best kind of guys to have influence in how the show goes. And for me, I've already committed to a few shows with him, so it's not a one-stop shop. We're going to do a few and hopefully continue on. I mean, I would love to hold the MLW championship. I mean, and I want to work, like I said, I want to go to Japan, but there's also you have Minoru Suzuki. He's there right now. There's so many guys, Kojima, Tom Lawler, ex-UFC guy, fighter. He's there right now. Minoru Suzuki, again, is somebody that I would love to just step in the ring with and compete with. And I think it would open a lot of eyes seeing me go with those kind of guys. Kenta's there. I worked in NXT with him. To go to war with him again would be amazing. So the list of guys I want to work with at MLW is just, it's absolutely amazing.
And so this is Battle Riot 7 on Saturday, April 5th in Long Beach. And as you said, not a one-off, but Battle Riot is a 40-man battle royal match, one person per minute. So it's kind of like a Rumble, more Rumble than Battle Royal, right? One person per minute. Sure. Golly. And then the winner typically gets a shot at the champ, who currently is Matt Riddle, who we know very well.
Exactly. Yeah, it's going to be awesome. I mean, I did the Greatest Royal Rumble in Saudi at one time, and it was like there was like 40. It's crazy. So this is like same level. It's going to be just absolute madness. And I mean, you're going to load that thing with 40 guys every minute. Like, that crowd is going to be out of control in my mind with what kind of surprises they're going to bring to the table and superstars they're going to have out there.
By the way, how did you come up with Bishop? Like, what is the process to come up and not just use like your actual name, Tom?
Yeah. So it took a lot of process, because I was like, do I want to, WWE obviously owns Baron Corbin, and they were going to keep it. I asked if I could use it, and they're like, nah, we're going to keep it. So I then thought, like, okay, do I want to run by my real name, or do I want to put something that's close to Baron Corbin and try to hang on to that? And I think it took a lot of reflection, and I was like, no, I want to get as far away from that in a sense that I can. I want people to still recognize me, but I don't want to be trying to do like Baron something and like trying to keep it close, because I want to separate myself. I want to continue to grow as a wrestler and as a superstar. And I don't think I can do that if I'm just trying to rely on what I did for the past 12 years. So it was creating something new and evolving. And then I was like, all right, well, I'm evolving. A bishop, a baron, a bishop is higher than a baron. So I was like, well, for evolving, let's go up the ladder. So that's where Bishop came from. And then, paying tribute to the lone wolf, changed the spelling a little bit, but like dire wolves. Like, I loved the Game of Thrones, the dire wolves, the Arctic wolves, all those kind of like just badass animals. And I have like giant wolves tattooed on my back. So that's where dire came from. And then, there's some horror nods in there too for the dire, but it was a process, because I'm like, man, when people see it on social, they're gonna be like, I don't know who this is. Oh wait, it's Baron Corbin. I remember that guy. And so and I just didn't feel like Tom Pestock was the greatest like fight name. It didn't have any like oomph to it like I wanted. So that's why we went with a new name, and we're building that. And then the Nomad, like, because now, as we talked, I'm not under contract, I can kind of go wherever, pick and choose where I want to go. And so as a Nomad would, I'm just kind of floating and figuring out, and going all over. And I would love to get like 4 different championships, to travel the world with. I'm doing it with the jiu-jitsu and the gold medals, but having that ability to just go where I please when I want is awesome.
A non-wrestling fan may not know this, but of course wrestling fans know, and especially as of late, we have seen guys like Cody and Drew and Matt Cardona is in the process of this. They leave, they become bigger stars, and then they come back. Obviously, there's an art to the the negotiation here, and I don't expect you to tell me like what your 10-year true plan is, if you want to come back, if you're not. But are you inspired by that? Is a part of the thought process here like, let me build myself up to become an even bigger star, and then they'll want me back? Hey there, sorry to interrupt. Just want to remind you, if you haven't already, please do hit that subscribe button. We would appreciate it very much. And while you're at it, give us a thumbs up too. You know, we've got live shows, interviews, clips, and a whole lot more going on this here channel. All right, now back to the show.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not necessarily like it's kind of a weird thing. Whereas, yeah, I want to go continue to build myself and become a better, bigger star, whether it's in a movie or a TV show or wrestling, like all of those things. Like, how do I make myself the biggest star in all aspects that I can? And, you know, jiu-jitsu in the mix. And like, you know, we say my real name, Tom Pestock. Like, I want Bishop to be an entity. Baron Corbin is an entity. You know, the jiu-jitsu world, the movie world, whatever it is, those are all entities of me, which is the brand that I'm selling. And so I think creating the biggest brand for me and growing my name. But yeah, you look at Cody, look at what he did. He, you know, he went from a guy where they said, no one will ever pay to see you to, you know, headlining WrestleMania. It's like, that's crazy. And so guys leave and come back. And then also too, like, you know, it's good to kind of just go away sometimes. And whether it's for a year or 2 years, you leave, the crowd kind of forgets about you. It's a very quick-minded crowd. I mean, 4 months later, they forgot. And then when you come back, it's like, oh, yeah, this is the best thing ever. I haven't seen them in forever. So it's good to go away. And like, I also too, like, it's funny because part of me's angry, you know, if we're being realistic, like part of me's angry that I got let go because, again, I've always done everything that's expected of me and done it well. And I was getting great reactions on the shows. You know, when I was on the show, the reactions were amazing. They were cheering my name. It was funny because, like, even tagging with Apollo Crews, at times he'd roll over and be like, dude, they just won't stop chanting your name and I'm getting beat up. Like, so I think that's why I was most angry, because I'm very self-aware and I was getting fantastic reactions and doing great matches, and I reinvented myself. And Hunter told me, you know, great job reinventing yourself, but you should really be proud. And then I got let go. So I was like, man, like the first thought that comes to mind is like, all right, well, I'm going to become bigger and better. And then when you call me to come back, I'm going to tell you to stick it. Like, that's kind of the motivation for me at the moment. Like the ability to tell the, you know, that company, the world's largest company, like when they call, hey man, we want you to come back. We're really proud of what you're doing. And I can go, you know what? I'm good. Like, in reality, saying that is crazy, but like,
Right.
I think that's the motivation to like, all right, well, I'll show you guys what you missed out on. And, you know, you'll be lucky to get me back if you get me back. And granted, 6 months from now, hopefully all that irritation and anger, you know, goes away. But like, I think that's what set Cody off for success. Cody was like, all right, middle fingers, I'll show you what I can do. And then he did it. You know, his first match with AEW, he smashes Hunter's chair. Right. And then Hunter's the guy that calls him and wants to bring him back. Like, that's the cool thing about the wrestling world, is like, sometimes it just takes time and all things are forgiven. And, you know, or I'm going, hey, that person we talked about, maybe they're gone. They're no longer there. They're not a great human being. So maybe they're out. And then now it's like, oh man, we can get him back and let's get him running. You know, you never know. Or like I said, I want to go to do some Japan stuff, the MLW stuff. Maybe I'm having so much fun with those companies, Maple Leaf Pro, that, you know, I don't look back and I just continue to do those. I want to go do, you know, 2 weeks in Japan and then, you know, come back, do 2 MLW shows and then a Maple Leaf show. And like, now we're cranking and I got no worries.
I know you're also doing media now, Busted Open, SiriusXM Fight Nation,
Yeah.
Well done. And so put the media hat on for me if you can. You could get rid of the Chiefs hat. Shoot straight with us. The Cena heel turn and the subsequent appearances. What are you grading them? You like it? Don't like it?
I love it.
Love it.
I love it. I love it. And I think the main reason I love it is because, you know, the last time we saw Cena in the ring and going into WrestleMania, he was working with Austin Theory, who I think is tremendous. I think he has all the talent in the world, and he's another guy who doesn't complain. I think he's actually a legit tough guy. There's not many legit tough guys on that roster that I would say, like, oh yeah, like I'd pick him to be in a fight, having my back. There's not many of those. I think he's one of those. But, you know, when Cena, you know, put him over at WrestleMania, it was like cool, but it was like, it's Cena. He's kind of at the end of his run. Like, I think now having this heel turn, saying the things he's saying, blaming the audience, telling him how spoiled and rotten they are, telling him he wants to ruin wrestling, I think it has piqued all of the interest for that match. Whereas if he was just the same John Cena, a baby face who people love, and he comes out and tells everybody how great they are, I think the match would be okay. They could still sell the match. People want to see John Cena still. People love Cody Rhodes. But now with this, I think that it has hijacked everything, and all the focus is on that. And it's because no one has ever seen this John Cena before. So I love it. And I love irritating people. So I love that he's saying, you know, I'm going to win the title, the 17th title. I'm going to break Ric Flair's record, and I'm going to take it home, and you'll never see it again. Like, what? That's so good. Like, has this really been building up in John for 20 years? And now he's finally getting to let it all out. Like, I think there's some truth to everything we say in those rings. And I think, you know, maybe some of this is some truth for John. And I love that.
Speaking of irritating people in and out of the ring, Logan Paul does that. Does he have the respect of the locker room? Do people accept him now back there?
I mean, sure. I don't know.
Sure is not. What is that? What is sure? Sure is not a great answer. What is that?
It's a terrible answer.
Yes. That doesn't sound like he does, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I mean, look, he works hard and he wants to go out and perform. I think some of the stuff he says probably has some truth, and some is part of the show, and some of it irritates me for the way he talks about the business. And, you know, guys who, and I know sometimes they're just doing it on social media, but when they're telling me how good they are or whatever, but they're not in these tiny towns doing live events, hitting the road. Like, I just don't like those guys that get that super special treatment. It's not like he earned it from working his way up through NXT and getting on TV. He's gets that treatment because of his stardom through social media and through YouTube. So I think he's handed a lot of things that I think there are more deserving talent of it, but he's getting the views. And so it's a double-edged sword. Like, what do you do with a guy like that? And again, you know, he works hard. When he has big matches, they take guys out to Puerto Rico for him to train with, and they, you know, he wants to learn, he wants to get better. I can't stand people who run around with an entourage. He's always got an entourage. They're nice people, but like, it just irritates me. So seeing that backstage, but I think people respect the work that he brings to the table and the work he's done to get his name where it is. I just think that I'm protective of this industry, and when outsiders come in like that with a gold spoon, or a platinum spoon, or whatever spoon he's eating off of, I struggle to really, you know, buy into it. And so I think, but some guys have, and some guys don't care. Some guys, you know, Seth Rollins is a guy who doesn't care because he's like, I'm at the top. I'm, you know, catch me if you can. But there's 85% of the roster that are fighting for spots. And, you know, when they bring guys like that in, it just takes those spots without any effort. And I think that can be frustrating. So it's probably, when I say like, maybe not, it's probably a 50-50 split. Like, I worked and did some segments with him, and he was fun. He's a nice guy. You know, he's a celebrity in his own way and own right. And, you know, if you asked me to go in the ring and have a match with him, I know we'd tear the house down, and we don't have to like each other to do that. I appreciate his love for the fight game. You know, if he ever wants to throw down, I'm happy to do that as well. We can do it in jiu-jitsu. We can do it in boxing. We can do whatever. There's money to be made with people like him. And so I think that's what WWE sees, is the money behind what he can bring to the table and the millions of views he brings. And I'm about tired of seeing Prime bottles, but it is what it is. So yeah, I mean, I don't have like everybody loves him, everybody hates him. It's split. Like,
I get
you
it.
think Roman Reigns has time to worry about what Jake Paul's doing? He doesn't. You know, he's on a whole different level, in a different stratosphere. If they go, hey, Roman, you can make some money with this guy, he's going to go, okay, let's do it. But like I said, I'm a guy who's kind of grounded out his whole career to get what I've gotten. Never really like just handed anything. Like, I had to go through like some rough spots with, you know, being the constable and Shad Corbin and stuff like that. Like, so I like those guys in the middle of the card that are grinding it out to get better, and I want them to get more opportunities, and I want everybody to be successful, and I want everybody to make money. And when you just bring someone in from a different world and put them in front of those guys, I think it's hard for me to give you all my respect. I'll appreciate what you do, but we're not going to be buddies.
I get it, and I appreciate that answer very much. I hope you're okay with me saying this. Sad Corbin was my favorite, and I remember
So good.
I remember watching it and thinking like, this dude is a freaking incredible actor. Like, man, you lived it, letting your hair grow and just looking all disheveled. You were fantastic, and I know it wasn't maybe a bright spot in terms of like wins and losses, but the way you own that role and the way you have evolved over the years with so many different, like I said, iterations is really impressive. So I'm looking forward to seeing what you do next. I'm looking forward to you debuting with MLW. Love that you're with Maple Leaf as well, GCW. Love Josh Barnett. Love Bloodsport. So you got a lot of good things going on, and the jiu-jitsu stuff is phenomenal and very impressive as well. So kudos to you, my man. And I'm wishing you the best, and very, very interested to see what this new chapter, this Bishop Dyer chapter, looks like, because it seems like you're all in, and that's great to see.
100%, and I appreciate what you do. I was excited when I saw your name. Like, he wants to talk. I was like, oh man, I've been trying to hang out with him for a few years. Like, the fight game appreciation and the knowledge of UFC and mixed martial arts and all of those things. It's fun to sit here and kind of chat with you, and I appreciate it, man.
Good luck. Good luck. We'll be watching and looking forward to doing it again. And good luck doing the radio stuff as well. That's awesome.
I appreciate it. Tell Alex to get his title back when you talk to him.
Okay. Yeah. He'll come up in an hour.
I was so angry.
I know. It was a close one. He'll be back. He'll be back.
Stuffed 11 takedowns, so that's impressive.
You know your stuff. Thank you, Tom.
I love it. All right,
appreciate it. All the best. There he is. Bishop Dyer, the Nomad, formerly known as Baron Corbin. Happy, sad, lone wolf. Great guy. Legit chops. Legit chops. Thanks for watching this video. Before you go, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button for us. Also, give us a thumbs up. Leave a nice comment. These things go a long way. And while you're here, do check out the rest of the channel. We've got live shows and full interviews, clips, and a whole lot more. We're doing big things here, and we appreciate your support very much.